Welcome back to Masterpiece Minute at Virtual SDMA. This is your host, Ladan Akbarnia, curator of South Asian and Islamic art at the San Diego Museum of Art. In this podcast, I explore SDMA's collections of art from places such as India, Pakistan, Iran, Central Asia, and the Middle East. Drop in every week to pick up a new mini-talk led by SDMA curators, spotlighting works from the museum's collection. This episode is the first of a two-part podcast featuring the arts of the book in Iran. And what better way to introduce them than through illustrated pages of the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings? Comprised of tales from pre-Islamic oral tradition, the Shahnameh was written into 50,000 lines of verse around the year 1010 by Abul Qasim Ferdowsi. It is considered the national epic of Iran. The text's countless chronicles about Iran's semi-mythical kings, warriors, rivals, heroes, villains, and lovers inspired the production of wall paintings, shadow theater, illustrated manuscripts, textiles, portable objects, and architectural decoration in and beyond Iran and Central Asia. Whether recited or sung for the court or the common people, or read in the intimacy of one's private royal chambers or humble home, the Shahnameh served as a basis for the formation of national identity in Persianate literary and visual culture. Its rich legacy continues with the surviving tradition of storytelling performances in Iran and India, as well as through the contemporary art and theater of Iran, Central Asia, and the diaspora. Today's work comes from one of the earliest known illustrated copies of the Shahnameh, believed to have been made in the early 14th century under the Ilkhanid Mongols, who ruled Iran and parts of Iraq and Central Asia from 1256 to 1353. The surviving folios, most of which are at the Smithsonian Institution's Freer Gallery of Art, share a small 6-column text format on paper measuring roughly 12 by 9 inches or 31 by 22 centimeters. Horizontally arranged illustrations occupy less than half of the columned space. Our page comes from one of Ferdowsi's final chapters, which recounts the over 400-year reign of Iran's Sasanian dynasty before its decline in 651, following the Arab invasion. Bahram Chubin, a prominent nobleman who served as commander-in-chief of the Iranian army under King Hormozd II, appears here in an enthronement scene embellished with bright-colored pigments and generous amounts of gold. Surrounded by attendants, he listens to his sister Gurdiya, shown in long braids, gesticulating at left. The strong and wise Gurdiya appeals to Bahram not to aspire to the throne held by Hormozd. Design not evil, brother, it will bring ill on your own head. While Hormozd is subsequently assassinated by his own son, Khosrow Parviz, Bahram Chubineh refuses to heed Gurdiya's advice, usurping the throne from Khosrow in 590. Sure enough, ill does fall on Bahram's head the very next year. Khosrow Parviz launches a successful campaign against him, defeating and eventually killing Bahram Chubin before restoring his throne and taking Gurdiya as his wife. While this painting is meant to illustrate an event before Bahram Chubin usurps the throne, the artist chose to allude to the future or to Bahram's claim to kingship by depicting him enthroned, crowned, and holding the sovereign's scepter. And you may notice that it's black right now, but it was originally silver, which has been oxidized over time. The figures also wear Mongol hats and attire. This, along with other stylistic and compositional elements, and the fact that the Persian text, which is read right to left and was penned in a legible upright script known as Nasr, point to an Ilkhanid context for the production of this dispersed Shahnameh. In the absence of a colophon, which can provide valuable information about the manuscript's production, its patron, makers, place, and date, scholars have attributed this copy and the group of small format Shahnamehs to which it belongs to a range of dates and places. These include northwestern Iran, Isfahan, Shiraz, and Baghdad, which is in Iraq, with dates spanning the early decades of the 14th century. This was soon after the Ilkhanids began asserting their independence from the great Mongols in China following the death of Kublai Khan. Imagine the impact of widely circulated courtly commissions of Ferdowsi's text, a quintessential monument to the legacy of Iran's ancient kings. copies elaborately illustrated with figures in contemporary Mongol dress. The Shahnameh would have served as a brilliant tool for legitimacy, connecting the Ilkhanids visually to the historic chain of Iranian rulers. Thank you for listening. This has been Ladan on Masterpiece Minute at Virtual SDMA. Join me next week for a further look into the world of the Shahnameh when I discuss a page from another dispersed copy in the museum's collection.